do you know whether you're investing in the right amenities for your rental property? That's a question I get from a lot of landlords or people who are looking in the Philadelphia area. Where should you spend your money? You worry about, is spending X or Y in this area really going to translate to another $200, $300 a month in rental income? And most of you maybe don't have this unlimited deep pocket budget. So within your renovation budget, you want to know, are you really allocating your resources most effectively? So in today's video, I'm going to share the top 5 amenities that I've seen really move the needle in terms of going from a listing that might be languishing to one where we have signed leases right away, and what that means in terms of the amenities that really move the needle. So I'm going to be sharing a conversation I had with my leasing manager, Samira. And these are conversations we have with our clients every week when we're talking about getting leased up in the Philadelphia area, whether it's Cobb's Creek, Germantown, or Chester. There seems to be really consistent list of top amenities that tenants really are demanding. So before we jump into that conversation, if you're new to this channel, I want to welcome you to the Real Estate Wisdom channel, where we talk about how to have a more profitable rental property portfolio, and we give updates about the trends, the stats, real time that we're seeing in the Philadelphia market from Philadelphia to Delaware County. So with that, let's just jump right into that discussion. We're going to jump right in the top 5 amenities that we hear are most desirable for tenants looking for apartments or homes to rent in the Philadelphia area in no certain order. So Samira, why don't you go over the first one that top of mind for you?
Yeah, so guys, I want you to just remember when it comes to this, renters are very sophisticated nowadays. So there are certain amenities that they're looking for, and nowadays tend to be non-negotiable. Again, no particular order, but want to start with the washer and dryer in a unit. A lot of tenants, just from when I do my showings, that's like the first question they ask is, do you have a washer and dryer? Also, even just having a washer and dryer hookup is also a plus, especially for renting out a home. But in an apartment unit, it's very important to have that. Even when you do the drop down on Zillow, like when we look at our statistics, like the washer and dryer definitely gets viewed a lot more than a unit that won't have a washer and dryer in it.
So it's good to consider how far your apartment or home is from a local laundromat, and then also how many floors it is. So these are things that kind of even make it even more critical for the tenants to have easy access to washer and dryer inside. And like Samira mentioned, so these are searchable amenities. So the searchable amenities obviously are those that will, if you don't have it or you can't check yes, your home is just off the radar for tenants to even look at it.
And even with that, as Veronica mentioned, think about like what level your apartment is on, and then put yourself in those shoes. Would you want to carry all of your laundry a week worth from the 3rd level apartment all the way down to find the local laundromat and then have to lug it back up after it's being folded? I know I don't. So just another perspective.
That's true. So then on to number 2 would be having storage space, especially if you consider a lot of people may be downsizing. So downsizing their space. So let's say they're coming from a home to an apartment, especially those people, they're looking for a place to put all their stuff. And so if you have some either spacious closets or a private storage spot in the basement, so these are some things, the options that you could potentially build in and have it secure for your tenant. These things are a premium nowadays with the rising cost of the storage facilities in the communities. Although you would the demand also is justified by a lot of us are seeing a lot of brand new storage facilities being built because there's really just, it kind of just speaks to the demand of space.
Yeah, and then just keep in mind too, that's also a bonus of, or with storage space, I'm sorry, you'll definitely have a higher chance of your tenant staying longer if they feel like they can kind of grow into the home a little bit. Because obviously, we don't want to have to look for a new tenant every year. So with that storage space, they're able to expand a little bit throughout the time while they're there. So less storage space is less likely they're going to stay longer than a year or two. More storage space, you're looking at a better chance of keeping them around for about 2 to 3 years before you have to look for a new tenant.
That's definitely a good point. Then on to the third item is central, or not central air, it's some air conditioning.
Yeah. I mean, just to speak to that a little bit, as we know, especially here in Philadelphia, a lot of the homes are older. So we understand, like, transferring or inputting central air could be a lot. But luckily for us with technology, you do have those AC units. But it's definitely a plus and a bonus if you do provide some sort of air system for your tenants for the summertime. Again, doesn't have to be like a charge on you because they're going to cover the electric bill, but it's definitely an amenity that they also look for when searching for apartments. So as mentioned earlier in the video, if your unit doesn't have AC, it may not even be on the radar for tenants to look at as they're searching.
Now you may think, oh, we're Philadelphia. It's not like we're Miami, where, if we were making this video about rental units in the South, like air conditioning is definitely an obvious, or actually some municipalities mandate that you supply air conditioning. But here in the Mid-Atlantic and Philadelphia, is kind of deemed optional. Obviously, window air units are quite affordable now, but we're just finding that when you're competing against more modern or updated units, that where the owners may have invested in a central air unit, or some of the newer all electric apartments may have these wall units that are quite efficient, and maybe they're heating and cooling. And so it's just if you want to get premium pricing, it's important to know that, since with global warming, I guess you'd say, where people are dealing with warm conditions longer, that is a concern.
Completely agreed, especially those summer months in like July and August when we're hitting 105 degrees. Nightmare.
Exactly. Even for us showing those units, right? And so I guess the first, that's something that they don't even imagine. If you have a vacant unit in the summertime and it's unbearable to get through it, then tenants are obviously thinking like, oh, it must be bad to live there as well.
Especially when that unit is on like the second or third floor, because keep in mind heat does rise. So if there is no central air and we are showing your property, it is a higher chance that that tenant is not going to complete that tour and leave out because it's too hot. So just something to keep in mind. But the next amenity that I definitely want to highlight, as a pet lover herself, it is more common, or is definitely very popular if the landlords are pet friendly. And with that, there's all types of ways to negotiate if you want to do a pet deposit, fees, however you want to do it. However, it is very important to be open minded and accepting pets in your home as tenants are looking and looking to move in.
And when you're planning to have a new rental, thinking about your flooring choices in the back of your mind, thinking that a pet may live here. So, you may not want to have floors that are going to be highly susceptible to getting scratched up. If you're thinking that a tenant is going to come in with a pet, sometimes people are concerned about carpet when you have cat dander or worse, and trying to get that scent and any marks off the carpet. So it's just really thinking about having durable flooring, for you think about kids and you have to think about pets in terms of what the upkeep and maintenance is going to be on your floors.
And even just as a fun fact, here in Philadelphia, or even the surrounding areas like Delco, a huge market of tenants that are looking are pet owners. We all know since 2020, a lot of people, being home, went out and adopted their pets, whether it was a cat, dog, bird, or snake, you name it. Um, so a lot of the tenants that are looking to move into different homes in Philadelphia and the Delco area are pet owners. So by you not being open to allowing pets in your home, you are missing a huge chunk of the market.
Yeah, and I think it's almost you mentioned Delco, you were referring to Delaware County, the western suburban county outside of Philadelphia. So a lot of people come to the suburbs for a bit of a yard, more space, and they're thinking more space for their pet. So if you kind of are closed off to accommodating a pet, especially in the suburbs, it definitely kind of hurts your unit with the competition.
Sorry, Delco just seems so natural to me. I'm such a
Yeah, but we have
such a
watchers
native.
that aren't local, so I just want to make sure. And that's the suburban county that we work in the most. So anyway, I guess we could jump to our last item is parking. So in this, especially when people, like I said, we have people who are watching that are or don't live in the Philadelphia metropolitan area. And sometimes we have tenants that are relocating from Virginia or other parts of the country where parking is something a basic, but in some of the neighborhoods that we work in, parking is a premium. And so if you have a means to have a dedicated parking spot, it's definitely something that is a premium value to tenants here.
No, I can completely agree with that. I mean, even if, well, you want to think about too, like when you're picking your homes, obviously you'll know if the parking is okay, bad, or decent. And like Veronica said, having like a designated parking spot for them, or even just having accessible parking in the neighborhood. Not saying it will always last, but just having some sort of parking feature for them definitely helps and puts your apartment separate from the rest of the homes that's out here in the Philadelphia area. Because as we all know, parking wars in Philadelphia is very real, especially when it snows.
After hearing that top five, as we said, there's really no specific order of the top five, but I would give one more takeaway before we wrap up is that location by itself is not enough. Tenants are just more demanding. The competition within some of these prime areas is just too tight to get market rents. So you really have to be careful about deciding on what amenities to include and to exclude from your rentals. Now, if you want more insight about managing that rehab budget from the start, you'll want to watch the video that's appearing on the screen now. And as always, I welcome your comments. I welcome your ideas about new topics that I should have on this video. And thanks for watching this time, and happy investing.